These are exciting times in Salt Lake City as the Utah Hockey Club is about a month away from their first training camp. Robyn Leano of Locked On Utah HC joins us to talk about the vibe around the team and how much better they may be this year than last. All that and more on today's Locked On NHL podcast.
You're Locked On NHL, your daily podcast on the National Hockey League. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Gil Martin here, and welcome everybody to the Monday edition of the Locked On NHL podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I want to thank everyone who makes Locked On NHL your first listen every day. Don't forget to subscribe on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts so you can get new episodes as soon as they drop. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment more. As the NHL and NBA playoffs are in our rearview mirror, there are just less games than we'd like, but this summer, FanDuel is hooking up all customers with a boost or a bonus daily. That's right. There's something for everyone every day, all summer long. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. It is great to welcome back to the show the co-host of Locked On Utah HC, Robyn Leano, and I'm still getting used to that, Robyn. I'm still
Hey,
trying to learn that one.
you and me both, Gil. It's taken me a while to get used to. About a couple weeks ago, even then, I was about to even say, Coyotes at one point. I was like, oh, whoa, where did that come from?
Well, it's only been a few years that you were doing that, so I understand it.
Yeah.
But, these are exciting times for this hockey team. And let's start with this offseason because they have been busy. And I know, for example, The Athletic ranked them as one of the most improved teams this offseason as far as the moves that they made. Which moves excite you the most heading into this training camp about a month away?
And I think a lot of people would probably agree with me on this one. The biggest move that they made this offseason was the acquisition of Mikhail Sergachev. A blockbuster trade that happened on day 2 of the draft back in June, picking up a top pair offensive defenseman. That's something that Utah hasn't had in quite some time. Dating back to, even through those Arizona days. And it was a lot of excitement. And there was still a little bit of question marks surrounding him, especially with surrounding his health and how well he can battle through those injuries that he's had in the past. And if he can kind of reach his peak, because he's around that period for a defenseman where a defenseman should be at their prime. So if he can get past those injuries, I think a lot of fans in Utah should be extremely excited. And I think that's the biggest move, I think, without a doubt, for this Utah Hockey Club.
And it's not the only move they made to strengthen the blue line.
Oh, no, absolutely not. They made another trade that very same day in the acquisition of John Marino, who I firmly believe is going to be that pair mate to kind of complement Mikhail Sergachev on that top pair. They even got a signing in free agency to bolster the blue line on the more bottom end of the depth and getting Ian Cole out there. So they're getting these guys and really figuring it out. But just a few days before that, Gil, just a few days before the draft, before that free agency, Utah's defenseman counts were 0, and then then they make one of the re-signings, a couple other re-signings, and then getting the trades and immediately to 6, from 0 to 6 in the span of 5 days. It was amazing what they were able to do, and oh wow, they got a blue line.
This team has been rebuilding for a few years, but they've also been accumulating picks and young players. Where do you think they are in this process right now?
Yeah, I think they're really close to being able to team that's going to be able to compete pretty soon. A lot of these young guys are finally able to get to their, you get a lot more comfortable. Dylan Guenther is about to enter his 3rd season in the National Hockey League. I think at this point he's really finding a foothold and finding himself I really firmly believe, and I've said it on my show, the Locked On Utah Hockey Club podcast, and saying I expect him to make a significant strides this season in Utah. Logan Cooley, after a phenomenal rookie campaign, I anticipate him to do much of the same this year. They keep making really good picks that fit the mold of what they're doing, and they're only getting better from here. This team is getting really close to looking to compete this year. Maybe not make a playoff spot, but heck, I would say this, that in about 3 years from now, a lot of people are going to be talking about how competitive this team's going to be.
And that's always a bonus. Is there one player right now who, if he has, a really great season, that will mean the most to this team's improvement?
Oh, I think, and I think I'll kind of go back again to talking about Dylan Guenther, because I was super high on him, and I've talked about him on a radio show. I've talked about him on my podcast. I've talked about him to some friends who just simply want to ask me, who do I think is going to be the guy to watch for? Look, when the Coyotes drafted Dylan Guenther, I was high on him. I was like, oh, this guy is a true goal scorer. He's going to be a really important asset to the team a few years down the road. Like I said, Gil, this is his third season now in the league. He's still really young, still has some development to go, no doubt about it. Obviously, I don't know what he worked on this off season yet, but training camp's only around the corner, and I have a strong feeling that once training camp hits, we're going to see a whole new version of him, and he's going to really show it, bring this team to some new heights.
Here we are, first ever NHL campaign for Salt Lake City. What is the vibe around the city, and what is the vibe around the team in relation to this move?
I think with the city, the excitement could not be said. It couldn't be explained well in words, because just take a look at what this team, what the city has already done. They went in the media in the first week or so, when deposits went available. They exceeded the amount of deposits available for the entire season, and by a crazy amount. I think they got to like 30,000 or so season ticket deposits. The arena only holds 10,000 for season tickets because it's unobstructed seats. Unobstructed seats, 10,000 seats, plus a few more obstructed, but they're not selling tickets for those season tickets for those. So the moment season tickets became available, finally for actual purchase, those went out instantly, without a doubt. Like if you were number 30,000, you probably didn't get that call, unfortunately. And they probably like, yeah, we don't have the availability. We already sold out. It's crazy how quickly it went that way, and the excitement. They're getting really close to finalizing a deal, Gil, on getting arena renovations done and get that taken care of by 2027. To also, of course, be ready for the 2034 Winter Olympics, by the way, which are going to be coming to Salt Lake City. They're a whole new level of excitement, and it really is something else. And I'm glad to be a part of it all.
How about the players? How are they taking this? It's got to be a big adjustment for some of them.
Yeah, a lot of them are super excited for it. I think a lot of the players they went out and were welcomed by the team. There was a little welcome party dating all the way back to, I think it was back in April, like that very first, that very first week. And Liam O'Brien was one of the ones that kind of was there to be welcomed by the team, and he welcomed the fans to Utah, and they were super excited. And the excitement that he brought too, right? He was super excited, telling all the fans, like, my name's Liam O'Brien, but you can call me Spicy Tuna. I feel like both the fans as well as these players and the coaching staff, the front office, they are embracing this through and through from day one, and it has been a really huge, refreshing thing to see.
Well, I know it's going to be an exciting year in Salt Lake City, and I know you'll have it covered every step of the way. Robyn, why don't you tell our viewers and the listeners where they can find the podcast and where they can find you and your co-host on social media?
Yep, on the podcast, we are on Twitter, or X as we now known as, on Threads, Instagram at LO_NHL Utah. I am personally at Robyn_Leano. It's Robyn with a Y _LEANO. My co-host Tom Callahan, you can find him. He is at Callahan on Air.
All right, Robyn, thank you so much.
Of course.
Today's episode is brought to you by your friends at FanDuel. I love sports. I love them so much I never want them to stop. But with the Stanley Cup playoffs and the NBA playoffs far in our rearview mirror, we have fewer games. And the sports aren't sportsing like I want them to. But FanDuel lets me keep the sports going whenever I want. And all I have to do is open the app and dream up bets anytime I'm in the mood. This summer, FanDuel is hooking up all customers with a boost or a bonus daily. That's right. There's something for everyone every day, all summer long. And look, Major League Baseball in full swing. You have preseason football going on, football futures, hockey futures. Check out all of the odds at FanDuel. Head over to FanDuel.com and start making the most out of your summer. That's FanDuel.com, FanDuel, official sports betting partner of Major League Baseball.